Once upon a time, I was falling in love, but now I'm only falling apart. This is PlayStation, Year 1. In many ways, Total Eclipse Turbo is a landmark game. It's the first PlayStation release from Crystal Dynamics, a studio that produced dozens of games throughout the 32-bit era. It's among the first PlayStation games to be ported from another console. It's also technically the very first PlayStation game released in North America. Total Eclipse Turbo hit store shelves on August 30th, 1995, almost 2 weeks before the US launch of the PlayStation hardware itself. Total Eclipse was originally released for the 3DO Interactive Multiplayer, a 32-bit console that debuted in 1993. History hasn't been kind to the 3DO, but compared to other, lesser consoles from the era, like the CDI and the Atari Jaguar, it actually wasn't that bad of a system. The 3DO could render texture map 3D graphics, it had some decent exclusives, and even its worst games are at least memorable failures. Launching the console at a retail price of $700 may not have been the best idea, though, and it never gained the kind of market share that the PlayStation or even the Sega Saturn had. The 3DO had a handful of talented studios in its corner, though, including Crystal Dynamics. Based in San Francisco, Crystal Dynamics produced several 3DO games that are widely regarded as being among the best for the system, including Gex, The Horde, and Crash and Burn. Total Eclipse made the jump from 3DO to PlayStation with no major issues, and if nothing else, it's a solid conversion thanks to porting assistance from Beam Software and future PlayStation 4 hardware architect Mark Cerny. While Total Eclipse Turbo is a historically significant release, it's not that great of a game. It's a rail shooter in the vein of Nintendo's Star Fox. You control a spacecraft that flies through a series of forward-scrolling stages, and you're armed with an arsenal of weapons that you can upgrade with power-ups scattered throughout each level. Total Eclipse comes up short even compared to Star Fox, though. It's up to the player to determine the pacing of the game, and it always feels like you're either going too fast or too slow. Your energy meter slowly drains throughout each level, and it refills slightly with every enemy you kill. Ideally, you'd want to speed through each level using as little energy as possible while picking off whatever enemies you can along the way. The back of the game's case hints at this mechanic with the cheesy tagline, "The more you kill, the better you feel." It's true enough, I guess. It's an interesting gameplay dynamic, but in practice, this turns out to be pretty frustrating. You end up either losing all of your energy because you're going too slow and you become an easy target for the enemy craft, or you run out of energy because you're going too fast and you end up colliding with the level geometry. There's never any kind of balance to the gameplay, and you never feel like you're in full control of what's going on. The twitchy flight controls don't help, and it's difficult to judge how close you can fly to floors and walls without bouncing off and taking damage. It doesn't get any better as you go on, either. Here's a few seconds of footage I managed to capture from the last level before quitting in frustration. If you bother to make it this far, Total Eclipse shows off its contempt for the player with a long series of branching paths, most of which lead to instant death at unmarked dead ends. Finishing the game basically involves memorizing a complex flight path that you can only piece together by dying over and over again. Even better, if you lose all of your continues here, you'll need to repeat 3 entire stages before you're given another chance to try and beat the last level again. Great design there, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it. Crystal Dynamics would follow up on Total Eclipse with World Interceptor, another forward-scrolling rail shooter that puts you behind the wheel of some sort of space buggy instead of a spaceship. We'll cover that one soon enough. While Total Eclipse was never ported to the Sega Saturn, a sequel, Solar Eclipse, was a Saturn exclusive. The series ended there, and Crystal Dynamics shifted its focus away from shooters afterward. Total Eclipse is really only notable for launching alongside the PlayStation and for being a showpiece for the 3DO, in other words. However, Total Eclipse was the first of many Crystal Dynamics games for the PlayStation. The studio later produced better-known PS1 games like Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, Pandemonium, and Soul Reaver. Much later on, Crystal Dynamics took over the Tomb Raider franchise from its original creator, Core Design. As of 2015, Crystal Dynamics remains a powerful force in the games industry, decades after the humble release of Total Eclipse Turbo.
Hey, pal, walk it off!
Thanks for watching. Next up, we'll switch gears and feature one of the PlayStation's biggest hits at launch, Namco's Ridge Racer. See you then.